You would really think that with all the history tied to the distillery and the upgrades, that this would be a home run of a whiskey, but I just Welcome to Whiskey and Whiskey. I'm the Whiskey Chaser Brian in a different backdrop here, coming from my home studio. I hope you're keeping well. There is more history behind this bottle of Kilbeggan whiskey than the majority of whiskey brands on the island of Ireland. Now, I know that's a bold statement, but it's not totally untrue. Today we're talking about a travel retail exclusive to the Loop retail outlets in Dublin and Cork airports. This is the Kilbeggan 11-year-old single malt Irish whiskey that has been finished in muscatel casks. It's 40% ABV and has a price tag of €72. Again, can only be gotten in Cork and Dublin airports. I was in Cork airport recently and picked one up on the way home for the channel, specifically for you. It's been a while since I've nerded out, so I'm going to do that now. Kilbeggan Distillery, which is located in Kilbeggan, County Westmeath, is an Irish whiskey distillery located along the River Brosna. It does have a very rich history here in Ireland, holding a distilling license that dates back to 1757, which is displayed at the distillery. Previously to it being Kilbeggan Distillery, it was known as the Brosna Distillery, and then previous to that, I believe it was Locks, and that's timeline-wise, actually, you may get that right, but it's now currently owned by Beam Suntory, which, owns the likes of Jim Beam and Maker's Mark, to name but only a few. They have a few Scotch brands in there as well. Like most other Irish whiskey distilleries, Kilbeggan faced financial challenges in the early 20th century, leading to its closure in 1957. However, despite the termination of operations, the distillery maintained its license by the good people of Kilbeggan. In 1982, the distillery was restored and reopened as a whiskey distillery museum thanks to the Kilbeggan Preservation and Development Association. Cooley Distillery acquired the site in 1987 and restored it as a working distillery. In 2007, distillation recommenced with descendants of the founding families present. Nice touch. So you can see why I'm excited. Today, Kilbeggan Distillery is fully operational. It features a restaurant, a restored water wheel, and a 200-year-old whiskey warehouse. I've been told that the still that produced this whiskey was only installed in the distillery in 2010 or 2011. I think previously it was used in Italy somewhere to distill water. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I haven't done the tour, and I can't confirm that to you 100%. So take that with a pinch of salt. I could be wrong. If I am, let me know in the comment section below. I don't know near enough about it. You know what? I need to do some more research. The marketing jargon states this was double distilled in the world's oldest copper pot still and matured to perfection for 11 years and artfully finished in muscatel wine barrels. Key point there. If this was distilled in the world's oldest still, then it makes the argument about the new still being installed wrong, or the marketing jargon is wrong. Bringing you back to that muscatel wine barrel finishing, not muscatel sherry barrels. There is a difference, believe it or not. The sherry muscatel refers to muscatel wine produced in the sherry region of Spain, which undergoes a unique aging process using the traditional Solera system. However, and in stark contrast, wine muscatel refers to muscatel wine produced outside the sherry region. It can be made in various countries, including Portugal, France, Italy, and others. Wine muscatel is typically made using different winemaking techniques and aging processes compared to sherry muscatel. Not really same, different. So very bland on the all specifics, i.e. how long it's spent in bourbon, how long it's spent in muscatel wine, but 40% ABV, €72 travel retail only. Now I've given this a couple of minutes to breathe. All my whiskeys suffer from what I like to call as neck pores. And when I go back to them in future drams, I always find that they change after I let them sit for a little while. So on the nose, we start. Okay, a little bit of fruity notes, kind of like, I want to say a citric note there, but then it's all about the wood. There's an awful lot of woody notes here. An awful lot of woody notes. And a very distinct honeysuckle. Very distinct, very prominent honey note. There's a little bit of there's a vegetative / earthy note there that, to me, okay. For an 11-year-old whiskey, I would expect a lot more to be happening here in terms of what kind of spirit we got from the stills and the interaction in the bourbon. There's not really those orchard fruits that I would tend to get from a lot of single malt whiskeys, which is kind of sucks considering, the age statement of this. But that vegetative note and that earthy note, it's almost sour. And I tell you what, there's not a whole lot of the muscatel wine happening here. It's slight, and it changes. It does open up a little bit more as time passes, but not hugely. Not as much as you would expect. 11-year-old Kilbeggan, it was okay. I hate saying it. On the palate, Sláinte. Okay, so there's honey, there's that, but then there's a tremendous amount of wood. A lot of wood. Almost too much wood. There's not a whole lot of flavor there in terms of flavor. I have to have another sup. Sláinte. Yeah, same, woody. A little bit of an earthy / vegetative note. I'm not getting too much there in terms of influence from muscatel, maybe a tiny bit of kind of berry sweetness, but it's, oh man, it's so minute. So the finish then is woody, it's bitter, it's spicy. You would really think that with all the history tied to the distillery and the upgrades that this would be a home run of a whiskey. And I had high hopes, but I just, I don't think this is my cup of tea at all. I really didn't enjoy that. The nose maybe has a little something going on for it, but the palate is not my cup of tea at all, not even in the same parish. The consistency across the balance spectrum is, in my opinion, all over the place. Don't think that was a great management of wood, and in my opinion, a whiskey that I think they were possibly trying to rescue by putting it in a muscatel wine barrel. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but you know, that's just how it seems. It was a shame really, because I was psyched to try this. Now, on the flip side, I have heard that other people have really enjoyed this. I mean, people have said, oh, this is really good. And I'm kind of surprised to see that it wasn't, to me at least, very flavorsome. I don't know, maybe you have a different opinion. If you do, let me know in the comment section below. So at this point in the video, I give you my verdict, tell you whether I would recommend that you buy this. For me, it wasn't my cup of tea. I wouldn't spend another 72 euros on this. I would 100% pass on buying another bottle. It's a shame really. I don't know, maybe it might be one for you. I wouldn't recommend personally, but that's just me. Look, I'd love to be proven wrong. Maybe I missed something. It's quite possible. Maybe not though. Yeah, I did purchase this myself, so I guess thanks to me. Well, that was disappointing.